தென்னிந்தியாவிற்கான இஸ்ரேல் கான்சல் ஜெனரல் திருமதி டாமி பென்ஹாம் நம்மோடு இணைப்பில் இருக்கிறாங்க. அவங்களுடனான உரையாடல் தான் தற்போது தொடர போகிறோம். வெல்கம் டு தி ஷோ மிஸ் டாமி. தேங்க் யூ ஃபார் மேக்கிங் டைம் ஃபார் அஸ். First, let us start with the current situation on the ground in Israel and Gaza. To be precise, please take us through the situation, like which parts of the country has been affected currently?
The whole country has been affected, but the fighting is in the south. And I'll just go back a little bit and tell you what the situation is now as well. Saturday morning, 2 days ago, more than 48 hours ago, Saturday early morning in Israel around 6 a.m., which is 8:30 a.m. in India, the Hamas terror organization infiltrated the south of Israel by land, by sea, and by air. And they went into our towns and villages in the area, massacring and killing whoever they got hold of, whole families on their way to temples on a Saturday morning, young people who were at a nature festival. They massacred over 260 young people who were in the festival. They went through these towns and villages, as I said, killing whoever they found and wounding, killing over 700 people, wounding 2,832 people that we know of so far, and taking dozens of people hostages. They took back with them into Gaza, elderly, disabled, women, children is, very young children. They took them back as hostages into the Gaza Strip. And the fighting with our forces, we went into these towns and villages, and they closed themselves up in people's homes and people's apartments with the family as hostages. And our defense forces had to fight them, go town by town, village by village, and fight them to stop them. And just a few minutes before this interview, it was said that the defense forces have control of all the villages and towns in south of Israel. But that still does not mean that there are no terrorists in those areas. So we're still fighting the terrorists in those areas. And I said they came by land and sea. We also found a terror tunnel in one of these Jewish villages where the Hamas terror group dug a tunnel from Gaza and came out into this village, which enabled them to massacre, maim, harm so many citizens. And you're asking for the situation now. So the situation now, as I said, the south is very effective, where fighting is still taking place. In north of Israel, the Hezbollah terror group was shooting rockets as well into Israel, and you can see this on your screen. But for now, for the moment, these rockets have stopped. So most of the fighting is concentrated in the southern part of Israel and next to the Gaza Strip.
How many people have been killed or injured so far?
We know so far of over 700 people who were killed, and almost 3,000 people who have been wounded. About 300 of them are in critical condition. And the hostages, the dozens of hostages, some say 150 hostages that were taken back into Gaza, we don't know. But this, horrible terror group is putting pictures online, putting videos online of how they're treating the hostages. So we can only, pray for their safety at the moment. But, we don't know what's happening with each and every one of them. So the numbers may be higher than what I've said.
Like you mentioned, Hamas has taken hostages of women and children also. Like, with this barrier, how Israel is tackling the situation and fighting them back?
The first stage was to get control back of the villages and towns within the Israeli border. And what we're doing now that we have our Air Force is targeting Hamas command post, Hamas weapons areas where they keep their weapons, different strategic posts of Hamas within the Gaza Strip. And you see those pictures as well. And of course, the next step will be to get the hostages out from Hamas's hands and bring them back to Israel.
What are the humanitarian needs of the people in the affected area, and how the Israeli government is responding to those needs?
The humanitarian needs are many. First and foremost, we need to identify the people who were killed and make sure they get the proper and correct burial. And now, in the same time, we're treating almost 3,000 people who are wounded, 300 of which are in critical condition. So they're being taken and shifted to different hospitals all around Israel, not just in the south of Israel. There's an issue with supply. There's many, many issues in a time of war like this. When you are attacked, when you're attacked without expecting it and with such dire consequences. So we're now taking care of everything from food and water to hospitalization, to injuries, to, as I said, very, very sadly, but identifying and having to bury our dead.
In regard to the previous question, Israel has a big number of students who are from India. Those who are Indians, they study there. And to help them out, what are the measures taken by the Israel government in connection with the Indian government?
Yeah, the Indian students in Israel are our pride and joy. We're very happy every year to host so many students from India and our different universities and colleges and PhD programs and post-PhD. Almost in every university, you'll find Indian students, and we love that. At the moment, and luckily, and we pray that it will continue, there are no known Indian casualties in the south of Israel. So let's just pray all together that it stays this way. The business people, the students who are in Israel at the moment, are adhering to the same instructions that all the Israeli citizens and everybody basically in Israel is adhering to. We get notifications on our mobile phones, on the radio, on TV of whether to stay, shelter in place in your home and apartment where you are, or go to different more central shelters, or move from place to place. So at the moment, and as far as we know, the Indian citizens are not in danger and they're adhering to the rules. There are still flights coming into Israel and out of Israel. So people who need to or want to can leave.
Compare the army, the force of Israel and Hamas. Israel is big, and how would you think that this would have happened, this big attack?
I don't think anybody imagined this horrific, heartbreaking terror attack happening, and to this size and extent. Israel, Israel, it has known in its 75 years of existence, and also the Jewish people for thousands of years back have known wars, have known people who have tried to destroy us. Almost on a daily basis, we thwart different attempts at, terrorist attacks. We've suffered before from terror, and, we're suffering and bleeding at the moment from this terror attack by Hamas. As many countries, also India and other like-minded countries, some of our friends have suffered terror attacks. We will make sure that our country is secure, make sure the people in the country are secure, and make sure to hit Hamas in such a way that they will not think of ever attempting this again.
What are the long-term effects of this conflict on the people of Israel and also Gaza?
The conflict, the effect on citizens is a very, very harsh and hard effect. First the losses of lives, the injuries, and obviously the psychological damage. But we must be very clear here. Hamas is a terror organization. They came into Israel looking to harm children, to harm citizens. And what are they doing now? They're hiding themselves. They're hiding their control centers. They're hiding their weapon stashes in the midst of other citizens, of the citizens living in Gaza. Ever since the Hamas took control of the Gaza Strip in 2006, they have done nothing to better the lives of the citizens, of the people living there. All their main interest is destroying Israel and destroying Jewish and Israeli lives. And this is what they're targeting, and this is what they're building for. And we see this attack. We see how it was planned, how many forces were in it. We see the terror attack, the terror tunnel in action. They have no interest in providing for the citizens of Gaza. They have no issue with citizens being killed now by accident by Israeli forces who are trying to target Hamas terrorists. So the effect is devastating. The effect is damaging. The effect is long-term. But this is what terrorism does. This is what terror groups or terror organizations aimed for.
What are the economic effects of this conflict in Israel, especially?
Look, our flights, tourists won't come. Some business delegation will be delayed. There will be some economic effect in Israel, but Israel's economy is so strong. We are so resilient that whatever losses we suffer in the short term, in the next few days, in the next few weeks, we will overcome them. It won't have any long-term economic effects on Israel. It will have an effect on the citizens of the Gaza Strip.
As you mentioned, like Israel is also strong in R&D, research and development. So is there any precautionary measures taken by the Israel government to protect those things?
Yeah, we thought, we were protecting. Israel does all it can to protect its citizens using state-of-the-art technology, using cyber technology. I don't know if this is the time to think of how this thing happened. I'm sure it will be investigated by those who understand, those who have strategic military training, and will look back to it. But Israel, all I can say now, Israel will fight back. Israel will do anything it has to do to ensure its citizens are safe and secure, and will ensure the return of the hostages. And, at some point it will take us a while, but we will bounce back from it. We will remain strong and stay strong.
And when this attack happened, like the international media, they had this big question, like Israel has the best intelligence. Like if they have the best intelligence, how they failed to predict this attack?
Yeah, terror is unpredictable. Terror is unpredictable. We've seen it happen. On November 26, 2008 in India, we've seen it happen in the US as well. We've seen it happen in London and Paris. Terror attacks, as hard as we try, as hard as we all like-minded countries try to stop it, and this is a horrible, horrible example, and I can't believe we have to live through it. But it's an example that you can't, shut yourself 100% from terrorism and terror attacks. And this is why it's so important for us. And we've been getting so much support and so many, not just condemnations for this terror act, but we're getting support for Israel, for Israeli citizens. We're getting such warm messages from different countries around the world, and definitely also from India. And this helps us stay strong, and this helps us to stay determined in our fight against these terrorists and the fight against those who are trying to destroy us, who are trying to break us, and they will not do so.
What are the prospects for the lasting ceasefire and also peace agreement between Israel and Hamas? And do you think like India can play a role in that, and in which way?
One of the main strengths of India is the fact that India has relationships with different organizations, with different countries around the world, from the whole spectrum of countries. It's always been one of India's strengths. Look, we will, hopefully it will come soon. I am assuming a ceasefire, will be reached, but it will take a while to reach, because first Israel has to make sure it reaches its own goals of securing its citizens, of securing its country, and of securing the hostages out of Gaza. I don't know how long it will take, but we will do everything that is needed to be done in order to make sure our goals are completely done and are reached.
How is this conflict affecting Israel's diplomatic relations with the other countries?
For now, it hasn't. Our friends, our countries, the countries we have relationships with, whether the newer countries in the Gulf and even newer countries who we're discussing having relationships with, they all understand the need to protect ourselves, the need to protect Israel, the need to protect our citizens, to protect our women, to protect our children. They all see this terror attack as unconscionable, as heinous, as something that needs to be condemned outright and fully and very, very clearly. So we're lucky, and we're gaining support from this, that, everybody at the moment is understanding what we need to do to ensure our safety.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for giving us a detailed view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and let's pray together that we end with as least more injuries and deaths that we need.